Here at Schoolscape, if this is your first time, just some heart from us. Yeah, we're really about connection at this company, at this business. Pete and I really believe in education. But yeah, I mean, in the times gone by, we've really focused on connecting schools and suppliers, helping schools procure well with credible suppliers. But COVID's really given us a platform here. We're seeing the good in this, where schools and schools, you and your peers alike can connect on a platform, and we want to encourage this in our event. It's not just about coming and hearing wonderful new solutions, ideas, sharing here on this live session, but really jump into those forums. There's discussion forums on a myriad of different topics, and we want to ask you to be brave, be bold, get on, share your successes. We know that some of you have done incredible things. You'll be hearing a lot of those here on this stage, but we want you to get onto the back end of Hoover and go and share those successes. Share your challenges, pose the questions that you need answers, and we know that there's schools out there that can help you and you can help them. So we're so excited about the kind of connection and collaboration that schools are going to be getting with each other on this platform, but also we have some incredible solution providers that we know are going to take your school forward in this time.
Yeah, and we've already got some hot topics going in the discussion topics.
There are.
I saw some heated debates on if HTML is coding. So don't jump on it now, but just now on the left is a community tab. So please jump in there. Also on your right, what you can do now is please just say hello in the chat and where you're from. Your school name. We love just seeing who's on and live and say hello. And we've got some great prizes up. We know it has been a crazy time for schools. COVID has, has been tough. So what we've decided for this event is we can't ban the word COVID.
No, we can't ban COVID out of your school.
We can't ban COVID out of you, but we want to have a COVID break. And also we really appreciate everything you as schools have done during this this crazy period. We know how tough it has been. So we're going to ban the word COVID where possible. So if
you can nail Pete and I. If we say it on stage, I want to see that chat go.
Yeah, if we say it, first person who points it out will give a 500 Rand take-a-lot voucher. So that is the word. I will not say it because one of you will then point it out.
Can I say something on take-a-lot vouchers? So unanimous with our event used to be coffee, and now I think it's take-a-lot vouchers. So we've got our coffees. I hope you have yours. But there will be lots of prizes going out. One awesome competition we are running today, super simple. We want to change our communication strategy a little bit with schools. We would like to start using social media more, less flooding you with emails and newsletters. But also, as things change so rapidly, we want a quicker form of communication. And we know that social media is a good one. So in the chat now, you're going to see our Facebook and Instagram handles. There is a 1,000 Rand take-a-lot voucher to someone that just goes on and likes either of those and follows us on either of those. So we really want to use this to communicate with you going forward about events, about amazing things that we're doing from Schoolscape. We love our community and we want to expand that on our social media as a way to communicate. But we also want to give you a take-a-lot voucher of 1,000 Rand. So please jump on now and follow us on social media so that we can keep the comms going. There are also amazing competitions we're going to do on our social media. Right. So keep an eye out for those.
Cool. So we are 2 minutes away from our first session. We've got someone coming in straight. We've actually got 2 speakers from the UK. Yep. But before we get there, I'm actually going to mess with the schedule. I'm going to invite Ashley Lawrence on stage. So because we're giving away take-a-lot vouchers, a lot of people, when they think take-a-lot vouchers, they immediately think SonicWall as our headline sponsor. Yes. So we're going to invite Ashley on stage. Hopefully he's going to pop up.
So Ashley, you can join when you are. Can I intro Ashley quickly for those of you that don't know Ashley? Ashley Lawrence is the Regional Sales Director of Southern Sub-Saharan Africa EMEA for SonicWall. Now SonicWall is one of our longest standing partners from Schoolscape, and a lot of this event with our other sponsors, you're going to be hearing from PPM, from Too Simple. They make this event possible with our exhibitors. So, yeah, Ashley, welcome. I can see you're on with us.
Morning.
Good to have you. Hello. Ashley, you know what? What I found about SonicWall is they really put their money where their mouth is. Sorry, cheap saying, but I'm going to say it. And, you know, Ashley, why are you so passionate about cybersecurity in education? I mean, you're really helping us you know, with this fight, with this battle of cybersecurity in this digital world. So why are you passionate about it?
It's something that we can do. It's something that where we have won. If we look at one of the things that we need to bring up in South Africa is around our youth. I mean, our youth are our future, and we need to empower them, and we need to protect them. And if you look at, and I'm, spoiler alert for Oz's presentation, and anyone who's listened to me bang on about cybersecurity in education is one of the most highly targeted industries, if you will, or verticals within cybersecurity. So we're very passionate about protecting it. I personally, I've got a vested interest. I have 2 kids in school, one in prep and one in high school. So I know I walk the walk. We protect the schools, and we've just done Pete's school. We're very keen. And it's always fantastic working with you guys, with Schoolscape, with School Advisor, because I think it's the most perfect platform to kind of talk directly to the people that need to hear this. So yeah, that's why we're invested in cybersecurity for schools.
A huge thank you to SonicWall. We love partnering with you. We love to see what you're doing in the schools, both close to home in our kids' schools, independently, mostly from us. And in many, many schools around South Africa. We are going to chat to SonicWall a little bit later. Yeah. SonicWall has some amazing, I want to call them specials, but they're plans that they have built in to expand cybersecurity across South Africa at incredible rates. And incredible price rates too. So stick out for that.
All right, so and I believe there's a slight delay in lag in audio. Our apologies, we are sorting that out now. All this new cool tech we're playing with, we'll work it out. We understand what you IT managers go through. So I'm actually going to invite Kevin on, and Claire, who's our first speaker, just so that she can come on and get ready. But Kevin.
Hello, how are you,
Hello.
Kevin?
So for anyone who doesn't know, Kevin actually just had a new baby. So he is our partner that we love to bits because he's from a school. He keeps us true to what is happening in schools. Kevin, do you yet have a baby name?
I don't have a baby name. No baby names, no. You guys are keeping me too busy.
Sorry, Kevin, carry on.
I said you're keeping me too busy.
So Kevin has just become a father to his second son. So we're super excited. Congratulations, Kevin. But we always have a bit of a chuckle with Kevin because it's like baby surprises them. It's like that 9 months is not enough. And if you want to suggest a baby name for Kevin's baby, go ahead. Kevin, you don't have to listen to any of them. But huge congratulations. We're super excited for your family and just your role in the Schoolscape family. We really do appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Kevin is from Faramir. He's the head of innovation at the school, but he helped us conceptualize an idea called the Tech Gurus. So Kev, can you explain what those are?
Yeah, sure, Pete. In the Hoover app on your phone, and if you're using the web platform, you'll see there's a section that says exhibitors. So if you click on exhibitors, there's a passport option you can get there, go and visit the exhibitors, but all the way at the bottom, you'll see it says Tech Gurus, and we've got a few. We've got Eric from Radine School, we've got Frankie from Selborne Primary, Justin from Seheti, Naratu from St Mary's, Lisa from Stellenbosch High, Mkuli from Queen's College, we've got Rob from Jeppe. And the point of it is, if you are somebody that needs a question answered and you're not sure about how to do it, you can go and book a session with a tech guru, one-on-one thing, ask them a question, and chances are the majority of these people have been through it. So they've been through the coding, they've been through the networking, they've been through the Wi-Fi, they've been through all of them. So you can ask another school manager that question. So you get an answer based on real world application. It's not somebody trying to sell you anything. They're going to give you the honest truth about what worked and what didn't work in their school. So that for me is important.
Awesome. Kevin, thank you so much. If you go look on Hoover app under those gurus, you'll also see we've tagged in some superpowers for them. Yep. So you can go and find a guru that can help you in a specific area, be it devices or networking or the myriad of different things. We know that IT managers' jobs went from this to this in the last bit. So Go on and check that out under exhibitors, I think, on the Eva
Yes,
app.
it's under exhibitors right at the bottom. And then if you guess Kevin's baby's name right before he does, we'll give you a prize. No, I'm joking. All right, Kevin, thank you. We'll check you later. Now, I'd like to really introduce a tech guru straight from the UK. So coming in from the UK, we've got on screen with us is Claire. So in the UK, there are certain schools that their Department of Education highlights as kind of schools to showcase to the rest of the UK. So we are really excited to have Claire that is coming from, and Claire, you're gonna have to correct me, it's Devonport.
It's Devonport High School for Boys. We're in Plymouth in the very southwest of the UK in Devon.
Brilliant. So Claire, you've got the next 20 minutes just to share your story. And I think what really excites me is we might be on the tip of Africa, but the technology that's available in Claire's school is available in our schools. And I think it excites me that we can learn from Claire, from her journey, and see if we can implement that. So really jump on in the chat bar, ask some questions. But Claire, thank you so much for making time available. We're really excited to hear your story. So I'm going to hand over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So hopefully you guys can see my screen.
We can.
Click present. We can see.
Yeah, no, I've got that. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for having me here today. Is that okay? Excellent. Right, so thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to be able to share our journey with you. It's taken a kind of a long time for us to get where we are today, but we are indeed a Google reference school and also what we call an edtech demonstrator school, which means we go into schools across the UK to share our journey just like this. So we have been an edtech demonstrator school for 2 years now, but we've been a Google reference school since around 2015. And we were one of the first schools in the UK to deploy G Suite, so the whole of the Google for Education tools across our community. This has meant that we have become more collaborative, more effective, and certainly a more dynamic learning environment for our students in the school. And that also includes our whole community. We have all, as teachers, staff and parents, embraced cloud technology to increase productivity, efficiency, and to transform our learning and teaching in the 21st century. And as a result, in fact, I'm not going to tell you how that impacted our COVID journey, but it did mean that we could seamlessly move our education for all of our students online, and that wasn't in any way stressful for us, and our level of education for those boys throughout that was outstanding. So my role here at Devonport High is to ensure that all of our students, staff and families have the necessary digital skills in order to thrive when they leave us. Okay, so a little bit about our journey. So back in 2013, the school already had suites of iPads. We were already using technology quite well, but we introduced something called digital leaders, which I'm not going to talk about today, but I can answer any questions about that in the chat. So these are teams of students which we train up so that they can go out into classrooms to deal with any IT issues that teachers might have. And it just means that myself and my IT team can concentrate on kind of the bigger infrastructure issues that we might get across the site. So in 2014, we moved our VLE, it was currently something called Frog, and we moved over to Google Apps for Education, as it was talked about then, or as it was called then. It's changed to Workspace now, so I might interchange those teams. So we went to Google Apps, and I'd like to say that actually we can, we'll talk about Google, but this could be implemented in any other platform, obviously. 2015, we became a Google reference school. We replaced all our iPads with Chromebooks, and we created the Learning Commons, which is our digital space. So we took the library and we made it with beanbags, and we had all of our digital leaders work out of that space as well. 2019, we introduced our Chromebook one-to-one scheme, and I'll talk about that in a bit. We introduced a makerspace into the Learning Commons so that our students become more practical and hands-on with hardware, as well as just using software passively all the time. And then last year we changed from SIMS to Bromcom, which is a fully cloud-based MIS system, which just kind of meant that we were fully in the cloud at that point. And we replaced all of our IT suites with flexible spaces. Now, that last one there says the future, serverless school. We are that now. So we've got a tiny little Nook server or that sits in the Learning Commons, which just has some CCTV on it. The rest of our stuff, including all of our finances, everything that we do as a school is in the cloud. So why did we go with one-to-one devices? Well, we were in a predicament, really. We had 6 legacy PCs. PC suites, sorry, that were in desperate need of replacement. They needed upgrading, everything about them, the hardware, just we needed desperately to kind of replace that. We had 6 in the school. So we gave this a lot of thought, and we decided that actually if we gave our students a device in their hands, then not only would we save ourselves around £25,000 per room, that we would also be able to have students to have instant access to work. Okay, so this means, I mean, it sounds horrible, but what we mean by this is actually they could go and they could use technology when they wanted to, so when was convenient for them. And also for teachers, they didn't have to book a classroom, you know, they didn't have to take their students to a classroom to use technology. They could just use it whenever they wanted in the classroom. It also meant that we could standardize and control the devices. So we did look at a bring your own device policy, but we felt that that would be too stressful in terms of setting it up, and that teachers would have to troubleshoot in the classroom as opposed to just having one standard device that we could control. We also decided to buy all of our staff a Chromebook, and that includes all of our admin staff and our governors as well. So everybody across the community has the same style of device. There's lots of other reasons here that we came up with. We try now to do a lot more blended learning so that they can transition really easily from using just the teacher in a standard environment and then going online. And we also look at flipped learning quite a lot, which is where the student can go away. They can do lots of learning on their own because we know that they've got access to a device at home. They come back in, they're prepared for class. And obviously with that comes all of the ease of workload for the teacher. So by using self-marking forms, for example, myself, even though I work in the IT department, I actually teach computer science. So I haven't marked a piece of homework now in about 5 years. Google does everything for me. Also on that, it's worth noting that we saved around £150,000 with that, without moving, you know, to upgrading our PCs, with getting rid of all our licensing costs that we were paying at the time. So we put that money into the Wi-Fi infrastructure. So we replaced everything to ensure that we were handing out the devices to students and staff, but they had to be able to use them effectively and efficiently. So just to sum up that kind of section, really, we have a scheme where the parents buy their Chromebook for their student, and we make that part of the learning contract. But we also have students that come to our school, which in the UK we define as pupil premium. That means students that might not necessarily be able to afford that device. So anyone that comes to our school, we're a secondary school, so from year 7, we will buy them a Chromebook, so that, you know, if a parent can't afford the Chromebook, that's absolutely fine. We will buy the same one that the parents buy for their students as well, so that no one is disadvantaged in our school. And what that's meant really now is that all of our community use Google Workspace. We have a seamless transition from school into home, and because we are a cloud-based school, there's no software that the students will use in school that they can't access at home. So we're not using expensive software that we only buy for a small number of licenses, so therefore the students go home and they can't use it. We're using everything is cloud ready. So for example, in design technology, we're using a cloud-based tool so they can do all their CAD/CAM drawings, whereas before they would only be able to do that if we booked an IT suite out for them, or they came in after school to work in that room. With that parental buy-in, currently 83% of our students have their own device. There are some students that didn't buy into it, and that's absolutely fine, because what we've done as a school is we've ensured that we have suites of Chromebooks that they can hire out. So in the Learning Commons, for example, we have 60 Chromebooks, and departments can just sign up for those via the Google Calendar, and we get our digital leaders to deliver those to classroom. In terms of impact we feel from embedding this digital technology and having a device in the hands of our student, is we've seen a year-on-year increase on our results for Key Stage 4 and 5, that's our GCSE and A-level students. And we measure in the UK how our disadvantaged students or our pupil premium students do compared to our regular students, and actually we've been closing that gap year on year, and we believe that's due to the technology that we give the students. So what does that look like in our wider community? Well, we believe that digital skills should be across the board. So part of my role is not only training our students, but also our parents, teachers, admin staff, governors, and our support staff. And to do this, we moved everybody over for their own device. And everything we do as a community is done via the cloud. So, excuse me. So everything that we have, all our policies and documents that parents might need to see, they're all online on Google Drive. That's linked to our website. Parents can have guardian access to Google Classroom, which means they can always see what their children are getting up to at school. You talked a little bit at the beginning about kind of not doing the newsletters and stuff, and we don't. We use social media, and because we have a cloud-based MIS, parents have a one-stop shop effectively on their app, and they can see timetables, they can see assessment grades. And actually what that's meant as a school is we really don't have to send reports out very often because parents have that at their fingertips. Our governors are on board for the schools, so all of the meetings that we have are via Google Meet, and everything is done via the cloud, so that everybody, all of our key stakeholders have all of the information they need whenever they need it. And that's just meant that, you know, as a community, we work incredibly well. So what I wanted to do is just share some specific ways that we use this technology within DHSB. And I know that you're going to have some great teachers on later to show you the kinds of things they're up to. But this is just some of the things that we demonstrate quite a lot with our community, or the things that have the most interest across the schools that we work with. So when we went one-to-one, we kind of wanted a reduction in our printing. We wanted to move really to a paper-free department, and I'm speaking now as a computer science teacher, although this is now rolled out across the school, and the majority of our departments are kind of exercise book, you know, the traditional written book. We use that still for assessment, but actually on a day-to-day basis for students, we track them via electronic exercise books. So you can see here, you can make them look just like an exercise book, and the students really like this, so they get to write their name on the front. Just worth noting that the Chromebook that we supply, or that the parents buy in, is a flip screen, so it has a stylus pen so that they can actually write on the screen. This is really important for our art, science and maths department, because they wanted the ability for the students to be able to write formulas in. So we make it look like a regular exercise book. Effectively, it's just Google Slides. And then what we do on the layout, we have like graph paper, or we have squared paper, or line paper, or blank paper. And then the students will either write or type responses into those books. And what's fantastic about it is that it means that we have consistency across all of our teachers. So we know all of the students in a department will have the same experience. So for example, in computer science, we might have our systems architecture section, and what teachers can do is build that notebook or before that we give it to students, and we fill it with all the things that they need to know. And then when we mark it, we can use rubrics that are built in, but also we can just leave voice notes. Now, voice notes have been incredibly powerful for us as a school. Our science department will mark science books either online with their voice, or if they're doing practical work and still writing in a book, we have a visualizer, and then the teacher will just mark, and they'll just give their comments and say, look, can you see here where you've written this should be expanded. And it's really eased our workload. Now, it means as well, if we do have any students at home, if they're poorly, or perhaps they're isolating for some unknown reason that we're not talking about, it means that they've got the same materials and they can just work at home, and that is it's seamless. So that's worked incredibly well for us. Also, what we've done this year, because we are cloud-based, all of our students that come to us in year 7, so they leave primary school and then they join us for their secondary school experience, we don't have to wait until they come to school for them to log in. So, you know, 5 years ago, I would have to wait until they'd all come in, because they would have to log into our on-site server. But of course, we're cloud-based now, so we have given them all a Google login. And what I've done is I've created like what we call a boot camp for Google. So as you can see here on the right, it's not interactive, but I've created an interactive map of the school. And when the student clicks on the block, it tells them a bit about the block. It tells them what they might experience when they start with us in year 7. And then it gives them like a treasure hunt of things to do using a specific skill. So we've got docs, slides, we've got Drive, we've got putting it all together, and we've got spreadsheets as well. So they can actually join with us in year 7 and have all this experience already. And what we've done is we've made that completely self-marking. So it's all based on Google Forms. It all feeds into a spreadsheet, which you can see at the bottom. And then when they've answered so many questions about that, they get what we call their stripes. So effectively, they're getting their Tech 1, their Tech Level 1 stripes, which they can put in their email footer just to say that they're experienced in the apps that we use. And that's incredibly powerful, particularly this year, because none of our students had any type of transition. None of them were able to visit the school. So now we've already got this whole online community of our students, and it's seamless for them. And it means that when they come in September, they'll just log into their Google accounts and they'll be completely used to doing that. Now, I'm not going to touch on this for too long. I'm running out of time, and it's something I'm sure everybody that uses any portal, Office 365 or Google Online, will be aware of, and that is the powerful way that you can deliver assessment and feedback. So we use rubrics a lot so that we can ensure that we have consistency across all of our students, so they know when they start a unit of work what they're getting assessed against, and they can see that in the Google Classroom environment. We use self-marking forms a lot to gauge understanding, and we also use spreadsheets to have personal learning checklists for our students, so that they can track their progress and they feel like they're getting some ownership of their progress. I've talked about voice marking. It's been game changing for some of our departments, the ability. We use Mote, so they can just click record, and then the students can come in, stick their headphones in and listen to their feedback, and it still feels really personal. So what we struggle with sometimes is writing all this fabulous feedback and none of the students actually bother to read it. They just want to get on to the next point. But by using voice notes and visualizers, for example, we've allowed that to be really personal for them. Chromex is something now that we just use on our Chromebooks, which means you can lock them down so that if any student needs a device for an exam, they can use it. I just wanted to very quickly touch on some really useful web apps that we use as part of our cloud-ready environment. You may well already know them. If not, Canva, amazing graphic design. Students can also use that as well. So we haven't paid for any kind of graphic design in the school now for a couple of years. WeVideo, another free platform where we do all of our video editing and promotional material. We do all of that in-house ourselves. Thinglink.com, amazing for creating 360-degree video, but what it does is it puts little pointers in so that you can have interactivity. We've done a tour of the school with that, which has been incredibly successful. We use Flipgrid for private recordings, so that a class teacher can ask a question and the students can all respond in a private and safe environment that the teacher can then interact with. We personalize
Claire, sorry
Sorry?
to interrupt from the side. Sadly, we are 1 minute left. If you want to
Oh,
finish up. I'm sorry, this has been amazing though. I've got so many questions, but please continue.
I'm almost done. So Google Sites, we basically create a personalized web experience. So with a Chromebook, you can tell the Chromebook what to open when it opens. So it opens a portal for each year group using Google Sites. And what I'll do is I'll just leave it with that one so you guys can read it. That's just some of our teachers saying how it has, allowed them to be really creative and innovative across the curriculum, and that we're really proud of our healthy relationship that we have with technology at DHSB. So I guess thank you for listening, and I can hang around in the chat if anyone has any specific questions.
Claire, when I mean there are specific questions, there's about 100. So I am just going to invite Kevin on stage, but while he is coming on stage, I just wanted to ask one question. So Thomas, who's been incredibly active in our chat forum, has said, how much data do you expect students to have per month? And how do you overcome learners who have limited internet connectivity challenges at home? Is that a problem for you? How do you get around that?
Okay, so we don't expect them to have any data in school at all, because obviously our Wi-Fi is provided for them, and they are, they join that. And even if they bring their own Chromebook, which they didn't buy through the school, we will put them on our network. Now, for anyone that is at home, if they are our pupil premium student, we will pay for their internet connection. So that comes, in the UK, the government gives the school funding for those students, and we spend it directly on the students by providing them with their internet connection. If we have any challenges with that, we can actually send out like Vodafone and stuff, do like a dongle that they can plug in, which will give them better internet. But we are very fortunate in the UK that our internet structure for those at home is actually very good.
Thank you so much. There's so many little takeaways. You mentioned like saving £150,000. It blows my mind away. But please do check if you can jump on there. A lot of questions we can't get to. But while you're on stage, I just wanted to introduce Kevin. So a big thing from our side is whenever we show something, we want to make sure that we can also point out a local company that can help schools if they need help. So Kevin is from CloudEDU. Kevin, maybe you just want to explain who you are and how you can support South African schools to be at the same level of what Claire has at her school. Kevin, your mic is muted.
Sorry, thanks, Peter. What I was really thrilled to hear about with Claire's presentation was their ability to make that seamless move during the COVID crisis to an online learning environment. We watched a lot of our clients from 2013, 14, 15, 16 on who were able to do the same thing because they had really had a plan for how to integrate educational technology into their school. And that's something that CloudEDU really bases our work on. We are about change management. We're less of an IT company and more around helping schools to do the hard work of change management. For example, we run an edtech vision and strategy workshop for schools to help them create a roadmap for that journey that they want to take. It's very difficult to plan a trip if you don't know what the destination looks like, and if you don't know how you're going to get there. You're taking a car, a train, a bus, taxi, or a plane. And we want to help support schools on their journey, but also to help them to figure out what that journey is going to look like and how they're going to get there. The other thing that I thought was really interesting about what Claire said is that their school has parents buy devices. Now, we have a very complicated economic and social context in South Africa, and that's not always possible. So we work with schools on lots of models for helping them adopt Chromebooks, whether it's starting with a bank of devices just to replace a computer lab sometimes and help make learning more mobile within the school, or the Chrome store that we have, which allows schools to have a school branded portal where parents can make that purchase. So we've got a range of options for schools. We sell 90% of the Chromebooks in South Africa. We serve Southern Africa and other parts of the world as well. So we'd love to work with schools on their journey.
90% of Chromebooks in South Africa?
In the education market in South Africa, Yeah,
Wow.
they come through our hands. So we are the experts on Chrome in the country and in the region.
Cool. Kevin, that's absolutely amazing. I think from our side, and Claire also, just thank you so much for taking us through the journey. I think for us, it's important for schools to see the journey that you went on. So we really appreciate that. And I think just from our side, the team at CloudEDU with Kevin, we've worked with them for a long time with a lot of schools. We know a lot of schools are going, do we go devices? Do we do this? How do we do it? How do we move forward? So I think if you'll see on your right, there is a polls tab. So if you jump onto that poll, if you would like more information from CloudEDU, from Kevin, please can you go onto that poll and click yes. What that means is it enables us to pass your email onto them so that they can contact you and then they can reach out to you. So we know what it's like when you're watching an event and you're, oh, I want that, but then it's impossible to follow up with. So if you do that, it allows us then to get them to connect with you. Kevin, any closing remarks just before we move on to the next section?
Yeah, don't chase after the bright, shiny object. Go into this with a plan, talk to your staff, involve your community, make sure that you're doing things thoughtfully, and at the same time, balance that with what happens often in schools, which is total inertia and doing nothing. So you need, sometimes fortune favors the bold, as my business partner Alistair likes to say, and you do sometimes have to have a bold vision, but you need to execute that vision with a clear strategy and with planning.
Awesome. Claire, one question we love asking because it is a crazy time and I can't mention that one word, that disease. If you had an encouragement for schools, what would your encouragement be when it comes to embracing tech, etc.? What would you say?
I would say, well, one, I would mirror Kevin and say, don't chase the shiny thing. But at the same time, I think, you know, it's the 21st century and you need to be ahead of the students. You need to be leading from the front and showing them what it's about rather than being it the other way around and they're teaching you. So embrace it. It's the future.
Brilliant. Claire, Kevin, you have been amazing. Claire, please, if you could jump, and Kevin as well. There's about 100 questions there of people asking, so we'd love it if you could respond back to them. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. The two of you can drop off. We really appreciate your time. And we are now going to move on to another UK speaker. So this is definitely our UK morning. I'm going to invite Oscar on stage. So I'm actually a little bit nervous for this section because Oscar is going to tell me if my password has been hacked. And one of the things that we've realized in the market at the moment, with all this tech, there are a lot of issues that can come up when it comes to cyber security. So from our side, obviously, this is quite a big area for us to talk about. So straight from the UK, coming in with us is Oscar. He understands, I think, deeply about what is happening, and he's done research. Not only does he look at kind of Africa, but he also looks at the whole EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa. So he is going to be able to give us a breakdown. Let me see if I can find him quickly. Oh, Ashley, if you want to jump on so long, just we are looking for Oscar. The beauty of live events is every now and again someone is not where they're meant to be and they're not in the room, so you can't kind of drag them in. So we are just looking to pull on. So in the meantime, I'm going to invite Ashley on. Ashley, if you want to jump on. So as we positioned in the beginning, SonicWall is one of our kind of key partners when it comes to the event. So Ashley, we have lost Oscar.
Oscar's here.
Or is he here?
Yes, I can see him in the app, in the Zoom call. So there he is. I'm going to disappear and hand over to Oz.
Bye, Ashley.
I am.
All right. Oscar, thank you. There you are. Okay, so Oscar, I am excited and nervous for your session because I know my password has been hacked a couple of times, and I know that I've got a lot of security issues. So with tech comes a lot of security issues, and that's why we would like you just to share for the schools that are listening. So Oscar, I'm going to leave it up to you.
Thanks, Peter. And can you hear me okay and see my screen? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we've got your presentation and we can hear you loud and clear.
That's perfect. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time. I'm going to start with the number 750,000 Rand. That is now the average cost of a school paying a ransom fee to gain access back to their own data following a cybersecurity ransomware attack. We've seen further reports of schools paying up to 20 million Rand to gain access to their own data. So ransomware, just so you know, itself is a term that we use to describe cybersecurity attacks focus on an individual school or organization where hackers are basically using malicious software to encrypt and restrict your access to your own data until a ransom is paid. Cybersecurity is definitely big business, and in 2020 and 2021, we've seen hackers have been given the opportunity to provide more opportunities to make more money and be more disruptive in schools, businesses, and at home, largely because we've gone from a fully managed environment like a school to where everyone's working from home with very little security. We all want and have a duty of care to protect our kids and students wherever they are in the classroom, at home, or wherever they are in the world. Teachers, parents, IT staff, and vendors like SonicWall all have a role to play. So over the next 10 minutes, Peter, I'll be sharing some insights of our SonicWall threat report, which analyzes threats and new trends. I'll be focused on what's new and what matters and what action you can take today to reduce your personal risk online. So let's get started. So every time I turn up to these events, we typically ask everyone to turn your phone off. Actually, I'm going to ask all your viewers here to be a rebel and turn their phones on, or at least make sure you have access to a browser, as there's an audience participation at the end of this session, so please pay attention to that. So as we get into the cybersecurity threat report, roughly every 6 months, our Sonic threat research team and cyber experts look at trending indicators of cyber threats across different countries and different industries to produce and publish a cyber threat report. You can download this full report by going to sonicwall.com. For this event, I wanted to pull out 4 key relevant sectors relevant to your specific industry. 1, certainly cyber threats are on the up and largely accelerated by COVID-19. I wanted to call out 2 specific areas that matter to South Africa: ransomware attacks, which is on the far right, as I've explained earlier, and malware trends on the far left, which is software aimed at being disruptive to your systems. As we take a closer look at which countries are most affected, assuming there are 195 countries, depending on how you count it, South Africa is 4th in this list, just below US, UK, and Germany. Countries like South Africa and below tend to be underfunded in cybersecurity, which makes them more vulnerable. This clearly matters to your country and important for you to know. When you also look at the continents, you can also see that Africa has been hit by malware above and beyond the likes of North America, Europe, and Asia. And specifically, when we talk about ransomware attacks, you can see government and educational institutions like the schools are the most vulnerable of industries when compared to the private sector. One thing to add here is I typically get asked the question, why schools? We're not a bank, so what's the game? Well, hackers are looking to steal identities that they can then reuse later for setting up bank accounts for the likes of things like money laundering. And victims, in this case, school kids, young teenagers, can be unaware for months or even years on end that their identity has been stolen. In addition, we are seeing a growing trend that private schools are more likely to be victims of ransomware over state schools. Why? Because they're more likely to pay the actual ransom. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's the biggest virus in 2020 and 2021? Well, actually, it's kind of a trick question. The answer is, of course, COVID-19. But I call it out because COVID-19 acts like a cyber virus. It has a huge impact on our lives, but also has helped us increase cybersecurity threats that we see today. When you start to look at the numbers here, we've experienced 4.2 million deaths globally. And Africa has been hit with 177,000 deaths relative to COVID. And a third of those deaths have come specifically from South Africa. And we've also seen an average of 35 weeks of disruption for schools in South Africa. Like malware, we continue to see variants of this COVID-19 strain with no immediate end in sight. While we expect some things to go back to the way it was, kids returning back to school, things will be different for all of us, including IT staff. We need to now know, what do we prepare for today and also what tomorrow looks like. As an example, as kids return back to school, not with textbooks, but using their personal devices in classrooms, we need to be asking ourselves, what new threats are we being exposed to? Are we exposing them to? And how do we protect against those threats? So what's the answer? Well, in SonicWall, we have an array of solutions, different threat vectors to meet our customers' needs today in a fight against cybersecurity. And while we've got Ashley and Vaynard to talk you through some of those specific technologies, there is no silver bullet that solves this problem. Instead, I recommend that we take a more holistic approach around people, process, and technology. You really need to start with, what are you trying to protect? What processes and policies do you have in place that may just need to be adjusted or changed? And then what technologies do you then need to have to meet those specific needs? So what action can we take today? Well, if your name or your family members' names are here, stop using family names for passwords. This is one report I pulled out showing the most common names used in passwords that is easily identifiable for the hackers. I was actually speaking to Vaynard, my sales engineer, just a week ago in preparation for this session, and he smiled. Guess what? His son's name's Alex. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Vaynard. And literally with the smile on his face, we didn't talk about it anymore, and I'm pretty certain he's adjusting his passwords. Eva, I've got you there. Your name is at the top as well. Stop using your name for, if you've got an Eva out there, stop using it to create passwords. But on a serious note, this is absolutely key that we start to take our passwords a lot more seriously. So this is where we have an audience participation. So get your phone ready or get onto an internet browser now. As Peter said earlier, this is a free tool that's called Have I Been Owned, but with a P, so it sounds like P instead of O. Log on to Have I Been Owned. You can see the URL there, the link there. Enter your personal address, your email address that you use for banking or social media, and see if your credentials, this is a great opportunity to see if your credentials have been compromised or been sold on the dark web. I actually borrowed one of Ashley's old email addresses, and this is what it looks like. You enter the details here, and then as you look below, you can start to see Experian and LinkedIn's been hacked, and it actually tells you what type of information has been compromised in that area. And that definitely gives you an opportunity to start to make the changes today for those accounts. So please check it out. Have I been password or P-owned, P-W-N-E-D, to get more details and start to have a look at your information that could be compromised in your environment. So let's have a look at what to get started with. So to get started today, it's really about protecting the home. There's lots of advice that you'll hear today about to get on this journey. But if you're looking for a place to start, here are 5 things I pulled out, which are pretty common and a great opportunity for you to get started. First, get educated. If you haven't already done so, learn the basics of how to protect your family at home. Number 2, ensure your passwords are unique. Avoid using banking passwords, things like social media passwords, and using the same passwords for your banking passwords. Ideally, you want to use a tool or an application like a Dashlane or password manager that auto-generates unique passwords for you. Number 3, make sure all your devices have some form of antivirus software on it and it's up to date. The biggest hacks that we've seen today is not like they didn't have antivirus, but the antivirus software itself was not up to date. It's basically like buying a car and never taking it for a service and then wondering why it broke down. Number 4, add another security layer. So you'll hear the term multi-factor authentication or 2-factor authentication. It's just like showing your passport and then showing another form of ID like your driving license, but digital. You can download applications like Microsoft Authenticator now, or have email, when you log onto your email account, have a code sent securely to you to your phone to make sure you are who you say you are, logging in correctly. And ensure, the final one is ensure your backups are off-site and not just in the cloud. We've been told a lot of times, update your information into the cloud, but actually the hackers have been able to encrypt not only your online data, but also your backup data as well. So please make sure that when you have your separate backup devices offline, away from the cloud. So to bring this to the close, Peter, hope you enjoyed the session, you and everybody else, around what's new, what matters, and what action you can take today. My name's Oz, and thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oz, I have to admit, I'm a bit nervous. I've been compromised multiple times. I am embarrassed to say. And I see Wynand actually put there, quite a few of the big sites have been hacked. Oh, sorry, Oz, if you could end your slide share. Thank you. So I'm actually amazed at how compromised I am. But Oscar, I think that was brilliant. It was very practical, very simple. I'm going to invite Ashley Lawrence to come on stage. I just want to ask, and I think a key question for you, if you were a school and you were nervous about how compromised your system could be, what would be your first thing you do? Practically, what would that number one thing that you would do that would have a big difference? What would that be?
Is that to me or to Wynand?
It's just me and you, Oz.
Oh, okay, it's to me then.
Oz, I'll go, both. Oz, you can start, and then Ashley, you can have an answer as well.
To me, the starting point is your passwords. I think it's we're seeing more and more. No matter how much technology you have in your environment, one of the easiest things is getting access to passwords. If they've got access to your passwords, they can get then access to various forms of data and personal data. It doesn't cost you anything. This is just about educating yourself in terms of using smart passwords to get in and out of your environment. And the second thing I talked about is having that two-factor authentication, a second way of validating you are who you say you are. So as I'm logging in, let's say I managed to get hold of your credentials, Peter, and I'm logging in peter123.net.schoolscape.
I'm going to have to change it.
One of the things I'm looking to do is to go, okay, am I who I say I am? So having another, like logging onto the email and the email system texting you and saying, hey, can you just confirm or enter a separate code? If you've got your personal phone with you and the code's gone to you, then fundamentally, I'm not going to be able to access it. And you can definitely see that you may have been compromised elsewhere. You can do that whether you've got an iPad, your Mac, your PC, whichever device you've got connecting to the email. The second thing I would call out, Peter, because we get lazy as adults, we do it all the time. You know, when you're typing in your password and it says, Microsoft pops up and says, do you want to save it for later? And so what happens is you store all your passwords in your local browser, which makes it a lot easier because they know who you are every time you're trying to log into systems. But it definitely creates much more vulnerability because now you've got a ton of your passwords stored in one location. If any one of those browsers gets hacked, which is a common theme here, typically they'll get access to not just your social devices, but also your banking devices as well.
Oz, thank you. That's super practical. Ashley, if I can spin the question at you, if you were the school's IT manager, what would be the first thing you would recommend that they should do, or a school decision maker?
Well, just as a kind of a head start to, throwing it forward for the presentation this afternoon, Maslow has the hierarchy of needs. So it kind of talks about basics and then kind of right the way through to self-actuation at the top. So schools' network security posture is exactly the same across any industry, really. You kind of have the basic requirements and you kind of go from reactive right the way through to proactive, manage and proactive. So ideally, we would always start with a solid foundation. So as we did on your webinar on the 4th of this month, we spoke about what piece of SonicWall equipment is invaluable to a school. If someone had to give you a blank check and the SonicWall catalog, what would you buy? after Oz's speech today, we may have to change that, and after mine, I may change it. But anyway, initially, we talk about protecting the gateway. The gateway to the kingdom, it kind of is a central control point. Depending on the architecture, it could be centralized, so you could do core-based protection. But firewall's always a good place to start. Would be kind of my place to start, and that would be, it sets a solid foundation to the school's kind of security posture. It's kind of, you can do the 80-20 rule, I suppose. Protect 80% of the assets by putting in a decent pair of firewalls on the edge or in the core.
Ashley, thanks for that, and sorry for other Ashley that just decided to walk through the middle of our studio. I tell you, it's hard to
not enough security.
Security, where are you? Ashley Lawrence, maybe another question just for you, and I'm biased because it is my kids' school, but I think it also helps if you kind of use kind of a case study. So maybe could you explain what you've done? You can choose Renish Primary or another school, just to help schools understand how you would go into a school and actually practically help them, what you actually did for the school.
That's a great question. So a lot of people are prescriptive. So they say, here's an ABC way of doing it. You must start in the middle. And security, cybersecurity, and school environments, as much as we talk about kind of architectures and preferred methodologies, and there's many methodologies, approved, and certifications and stuff that people want to use. All schools and all environments are different, and all schools and all environments have different layers of maturity or stages of their security posture that they need to look at. So the first thing is, and this is something that Oz's team in EMEA and something he's driving worldwide, and we have certainly in South Africa, is some kind of an assessment. So what is the security posture of the school? And based on that information, you would have, we would make recommendations on what your actual environment looks like, as opposed to being prescriptive, saying you can have a size 10 rugby shoe, and I'm sorry, you're playing hockey. And it kind of starts, and if we look at Renish, for example, Gary came to us. I mean, obviously, we've seen Gary at your events over the past few years, and it's kind of like, what was that security guy that kind of, it's Ashley, hook up, we have the conversations, we look at their environment, we look at where they need to start. And then, I mean, specifically around Gary's environment and around what Ashley said this morning was around the budget. So our biggest problem was trying to put the square peg in a round hole. And Gary said, I've got R8.50. Would that buy me a pair of 3700s? And we're like, might buy the instruction manual, but probably not the firewalls. Anyway, so we had to kind of, so after we've had a look at your environment and we've come up with some kind of scope of work, we'd obviously need to look at a kind of a local partner that would help you install, configure, manage, someone that's, the 0800 Ghostbusters kind of come and help me kind of guys. Obviously, we're around as the vendor 24/7, but your local partner's key. And obviously the last one was around the pricing. So we kind of introduced a partner, got the budgets approved, and actually miraculously came in on Gary's budget after a few. $8 65, I think we settled on, but it was a negotiation. And again, I mean, we talk about budgets. We have schools that charge 250,000 Rand per pupil per year. We've got schools that pay, 16,000 Rand a year. And of that 16,000 Rand, they have a 50% uncollected school fees. So these are state schools or semi-private schools that have very small budgets. So the guys that charge 250,000 Rand per pupil per year, we charge them normal pricing. And when it gets to schools that have less budgets, we work around their budget. So it's kind of, there is no such thing as a specific model that we have for pricing for schools. It's based on environment and budgets and see what we can do. The only thing that we have done, and just to throw it in there, is we have had approval from our fearless Texan head of sales worldwide, Bob Van Kirk, for a unique pricing model for all Schoolscape schools. So it's a world first. It's been supported by Terry Greer King, who's my big boss. He's the head of sales for EMEA. And again, that's threefold. First of all, what does your environment look like? Let's get a bill of materials. Let's get together some pricing. And then the last and most important one is around how do we hook that to your budget? So you say, well, Ash, I've spent all my money this year. Can we do it in August 2022? Okay, well, let's fix that discount and then we'll throw it forward to next year. So we're not going to be prescriptive about your timelines. We are prescriptive around calendar quarters because that's how globals work. So yeah.
So Ashley, I'm sorry to say, but our time is up. But for our viewers, well, our time for this session, for our viewers, if you open your chat bar on the right, I'm going to ask a question. And the first person to get the question right in the chat bar is going to win a 1,000 Rand Take-A-Lot voucher from SonicWall, from Ashley and his team. So the question is very, very simple. What company is Ashley Lawrence from? If you can write their name, first person, 1,000 Rand voucher. We'll see who wins it now. Is someone in already? Erica is in the back. I think we've got it. All right. So who was the first one? Let's check. While they're checking that, Heidi, congratulations. You have just won a 1,000 Rand voucher, and you have also been very, very engaged on our topic. So I'm so glad you are winning. Ashley and Oscar, gentlemen, thank you. I think security is such a big need, and I know you have dedicated your lives to it. And a tech conference can't be a tech conference. We can't recommend tech. We can't recommend edtech if schools are not safe. And so it's just fantastic to see that there is a company out there. So if you are a school and you need some help, on your polls tab, there's going to be a poll that asks if you would like the team from SonicWall to contact you. Please click yes or no. If you click yes, it means we can ask them to connect with you. We can provide your contact details to them, and then they will contact you. And there's no obligation. They are happy to have a conversation, Ashley and his team. So please fill in that poll. And then a big thank you also to Oscar coming in live from the UK. And I know you put a lot of love into that presentation. I wish you hadn't, because now I know I need to change all my passwords.
No problem.
But thank you so much, gentlemen. We really appreciate your time. Ashley Lawrence, I know we're going to see you on stage a little bit more, a bit later in the day. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for the opportunity,
Thanks,
Peter. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, gents. So I'm going to ask everyone, I'm going to ask everyone, my camera is going to go off so I can do this as well. I'm going to ask everyone to stand up, shake, get some energy. We are about to, my camera is going to go off any second now. There we go. I'm going to ask everyone to stand up, shake, and then miraculously, when my camera goes back on,
Peter's going to be a whole lot more feminine. What I say, better looking. Awesome. Just making sure you can hear me now loud and clear. We're running a good race today, guys. So we've swapped out, and we're going to go into the next part of our session. So this part of the session, you would have seen that the theme of today is all about the death of the overhead projector. It was originally going to be something, what I did after I threw out the blackboard. And then we have a company tomorrow called Blackboard, and we thought, well, can't do that because Blackboard's a phenomenal company, and you'll hear from them tomorrow. But so now we called it the death of the overhead projector, and we're really looking at every school's journey from chalkboard, overhead projectors, to a tech-enabled classroom of the future. So this is really for every class out there. It's not if you got no tech in your school and you think, where am I going to start? And this isn't relevant to me. We're going to touch on things like that. And then it's if you have a whole mode of tech in your classroom already, great. We have some complementary product solutions, amazing things that we can recommend. And we know that it's going to make some of your teaching a little more effortless. So firstly, we have an incredible solution, one we back very much. I have to say this, I want to say, what is it, device neutral. I may be sitting here with my Chromebook in tablet mode, but I also very much value Windows devices. I also very much use a tablet, an Apple tablet, an iPad for our generation, iPad. So we are device neutral. You will see many different devices. But first up, we have ThinkAhead. So while we bring Didi from ThinkAhead on stage, we're also going to, through this session, we wanted to feature solutions that work, but we also wanted to hear from schools that are using them. That makes it valuable, that makes it credible, and also we can see a bit of the implementation process and that burden that device or the solution has lifted. So hi Didi, welcome. Nice to have you on stage with us today.
Hi, Ash.
Hi. So Didi, we're gonna chat to you in a minute, and we're really gonna look at a bunch of different things. If you have an idea in your head that iPads are expensive, I want to dispel it now. We want to really move away from that. There are such an incredible tool for schools, and Think Ahead is doing some great work in the area of rental offers, making iPads accessible for education. So first we're going to play a quick clip. This is from St Stithians Girls, Bronwyn, who's the ITC integrator there. She just had a little bit to
Hello
say
everyone,
about
my name is
education
Bronwyn Desjardins and I'm the digital learning coach at St Stithians Girls Preparatory and have been so for the last 9 years. We introduced iPads in 2014 following a full year of investigations to see which was the most reliable device to use. And having used a bring your own device, we had students bringing in their own iPads. And of course, this came with some challenges. And some of those included us wanting to be able to manage those devices. In the same respect that we want teachers to manage a physical space and their students, they need to be able to manage a digital space. And being that I'm an Apple Distinguished Educator, I attend international Apple Distinguished Education conferences and things that occur on an annual basis, institutes as we call them, and I learned of the use of schoolwork and Apple Classroom and wanted to use those in our space as well. So I came back to South Africa with my big ideas and my great plans and thought, well, my skill set only reaches to a certain degree. I know what is possible, but to actually make it happen was something entirely different. So I reached out to Think Ahead, and Umpi was able to come in and assist us. And we were able to introduce the first step in that process was getting us onto Apple School Manager. And that meant retrieving all of our school email accounts and making them go through Apple School Manager. So we had to change our school email addresses into managed Apple IDs, which was a fairly simple process to do. But with the challenges we faced with that was that some teachers in particular had gone and used their school email addresses as personal email addresses to purchase, used within the Apple Store and that sort of thing. So we had to navigate that, but there is a 90-day leeway to make that transition. Now we're in a space, we fast forward, and we're now sitting in a space where we're able to very easily use we're very easily able to use Apple School Manager and Apple Classroom and schoolwork within the space, thanks to the help of Umpi and him assisting us with managed Apple IDs. And we're able to use a managed an MDM Meraki to facilitate us navigating and managing all the devices that are school owned. And we're in a really good place and are looking forward to using user authenticated enrollment to look forward to really using schoolwork in the way that is designed to be used. I can highly recommend Think Ahead and all the work they've done, and without them we certainly wouldn't be where we are today, which is in a really strong position with our iPads in the bring your own device environment. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Bronwyn. Okay, so Didi, it sounds like you did some really amazing stuff and actually helped St Stithians Girls quite a lot there. Why don't you chat through us about sort of that deployment, that project, that hand-holding you did there, and then some of the other interesting stuff that you guys have got going on. Over to you.
Thanks, Ash. Happy to. I think it's probably, I'm going to share my screen now, and let's hope that the presentation actually does load, because a lot of what I'm going to cover off in the prezo is exactly what Bronwyn is referring to. So there's some good detail in that. Let me try and do this. It did work yesterday, so let's hope. Can you see my prezo yet?
I can see. There we go.
You can see that.
You're good to go, Didi.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you for joining the session. To all of you who are on the session, it's good to have you. And yes, I'd like to talk through the streamlined tablet deployment at a kind of enterprise level at schools, and I think that is exactly what we did at St Stithians, it being quite a large school.
various campuses, and how we would treat that is as a large organization or as at an enterprise level. And I think that a lot of there is some misconception out there about how easy it is to use iPad. Let's not even get into the cost of an iPad, because my previous session that I did with Schoolscape, I talked about how we are bringing an affordability initiative to schools around the ability now to be able to rent iPad or Mac from us for as little as 169 Rand a month. So let's not even go into the cost of iPads. Let's talk about the ease and the deployment, the streamlining of those either iPads or Mac within a school environment. And I think the first thing that we would do from a think ahead perspective in terms of the services, and Bronwyn touched on this, is do an assessment around and a planning phase around your BYOD strategy and what your environment looks like. And that would have to cover off the devices in use, because often there is a plethora of devices in use. So what are the devices that that students are using within the school environment? What MDM are you currently using to support the rollout of those devices and the management of those devices? And we actually work with two MDMs, the one being Jamf, which is an Apple-only device management system. And then we also work with a Cisco Meraki product, and that is device agnostic. So that's a cross-platform. And then also, what is your Wi-Fi scenario, and how can we ensure that we are using a secure network, but also a robust enough network for the deployment of your devices from a content and updates perspective? And then, of course, what is the support that you are going to have on site on an ongoing from an ongoing perspective? We can provide external support, but then also within your school environment, what support and self-help can be put in place within within your school. And we would assess that. We'd be able to assist you through that process. Then just to touch on an MDM ecosystem, because I think that this is important in terms of the overlay and the services that we can provide from an Apple perspective. A mobile device management system, as many of you might know, provides your school with the tools to manage your devices, allocate correct identities and permissions for staff and students, which is really, really important. Deploy your content over the air to all of your devices. Secure your devices using premium privacy settings. And these are more, I suppose they are more eloquent than those of just a firewall setting. And of course, really important, especially if you've got large deployments, control the automated updates and the software updates that are required across all devices. Then moving on to ASM, which creates another layer of it's another layer of functionality that Apple has provided to schools. It's a free service, and it builds on our education proposition to schools. It's only available in about 56 countries around the world, and they've deemed South Africa as one of them. And it's designed to meet privacy as well as deployment requirements for the school. Your school would use ASM for three things: enroll devices into the MDM, set up managed Apple IDs, or what we refer to as MAIDs, for access to devices, the material in your content, as well as the collaboration tools. And this is important because a lot of schools are running off G Suite or off the Microsoft Suite, Office 365, and this allows for a full seamless integration to those suite of applications to allow all those collaborative tools to work without the additional requirement of more passwords or sign-on, which we know is a lot of the time a barrier to entry for students and for teachers on the ground. And when we were just listening to the SonicWall conversation earlier around privacy and settings and passwords, and it's very much a component of what we live with on a daily basis, but at the same time can also sometimes be a barrier to entry. So what ASM does is remove those additional barriers, because it's almost like a single sign-on environment that it allows. And then the third thing that Apple School Manager does is that...
just time in here. Sorry, you've got a minute left, just so you know, and you can manage it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. The third thing that Apple School Manager does is allow you to purchase apps at 50% off for your educational needs. Okay, so I'm going to whip through this. How the MDM and the ASM work together. There's an authentication and an enrollment process that happens between your MDM server and your Active Directory, pushes content through the cloud to devices, and the entire time that this is happening, there's a check-in process that is happening back to the server to ensure that the provisions from the content perspective as well as the security perspective are all in place. Let me just quickly go back there. So that check-in is constantly happening on the back end. And I'm really whipping through this at the moment. Okay, so the last thing that I want to touch on is federated authentication. And Bronwyn spoke about this earlier. It is quite, there's quite a lot involved in this, and we would be able to take you through this full solution. But basically, it is a very new, really neat solution that Apple has provisioned for BYOD environments specifically. It allows for split Apple IDs, on the top side being like an organizational ID, Apple ID, which allows you access with all these intelligent authentications happening on the back end. It allows you access to your full suite of applications that are running within the school environment, as well as your collaboration tools that you all know and use. And then at the same time, the benefit of this is that when you're using your school logins across all school systems, you're authenticating to content, you've got your required restrictions in place, you've got updates happening, as well as your collaboration tools. And then we've still got full privacy that is retained through the Apple ID because of the federated organizational ID working behind the scenes to provision content. And so the user experience is still that it's their personal ID that they have bought, and they're retaining that bring your own, I suppose, experience to school. Bring your own device experience. And then just a quick snapshot of the services that we offer. I'm right at the end there, so just give me a sec. And then just to flag that we are doing a total cost of ownership session where we look at the full life cycle of the cost of Apple devices. And this is happening on the 31st of August. So please join us for that. Look out for or reach out to me for further information on that. And that's it. Thank you.
Perfect.
I really had to race there at the end.
Thank you so much. Guys, if you want to hear more from Didi, please, there is on the polls tab, there's a poll that's live that will ask if you want to hear more about if there's any solution, Apple kind of technical question, anything like that, click on that and we'll give Didi the ability to contact you and connect with you and then answer those questions. So thank you, Didi. Thanks to Think Ahead. It's always great to have you with us. And yeah, we'll be chatting again, I'm sure, soon. So next up, Didi, you can drop off. And next up, we have, very excitingly, another event sponsor that's going to jump in and chat to us about their offering. Too Simple, also a long-standing partner of Schoolscape's, a wonderful company. Tim and his team really have climbed on board in a big way this year. We're going to hear a lot from them in terms of coding and robotics. They've brought some incredible stuff onto the South African school space. But for today, we're going to focus on Too Simple as the company. And we'd like to start this by jumping in with Joanne. Joanne's from Uplands College. She's going to share a bit of her experience of using Too Simple in the last while. Too Simple's been really at the forefront of this open-close scenario with your schools and providing incredible resources to schools. So Joanne, yeah, we're going to jump to Joanne, and then we're also going to have Neil that's going to speak on Too Simple afterwards. But let's kick to Joanne and then we'll hear from Neil. Welcome, Neil. Nice to see you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joanne from Uplands in Mpumalanga. I've been tasked with asking or answering a few questions regarding Purple Mash, the program that we've been using for a number of years already. So the first question up is, why did we as a school decide to use Purple Mash? We were looking for a safe platform, safe and secure actually. It's a platform that would engage with our pupils across all curriculums, and in particular all subjects or learning areas in our school. So that was a deciding factor. It was good it's an online program that can be used in classrooms and as well as at home, considering the circumstances that we're in now. Right, how do we use it, and how did we use it during the lockdown period? Well, first of all, I use it frequently in the IT center. In our IT center, that's our main platform for information technology. I use it extensively for typing, making sure the kids are, they've got an adequate amount of time spent with practicing typing. And how did it benefit us with lockdown? Well, our teachers, all from subject areas, English, Afrikaans, especially in our foundation phase, they used it extensively to keep in touch when our kids were not allowed on campus. That was a very good platform. It linked in well with what we use at Uplands, the Google Classroom. So from Purple Mash, you are able to set tasks within Google Classroom as well. So it all links well together. The teachers were able to set, and a very nice one was the spelling test, where you can record yourself setting a task, or if you're possible, for kids who aren't able to go live in the classroom. And then so it was a good tool for us to keep engaged with our kids. Tasks were set. Now, even when we have some kids in quarantine, they are able to still continue with the work through the to-do list of Purple Mash and through the Google Classroom. So all tasks, be it the maths work, be it science related, English, we can use it across all the subject areas. How's the team from Too Simple supported us? Well, I must be honest, the team at Too Simple have been amazing. There were webinars at the start of the pandemic, but not only then, previously they're always in touch with us to see what they can change or to benefit us as a school. And what do I love most about using it? That's a question that's come through now. I do really love the fact that it is so simple to use and user-friendly for our kids. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joanne. So awesome to hear what Too Simple has been doing at Uplands College. And we're going to hear now from Neil. Neil is part of the Too Simple team. And Neil's going to talk us through some of those things that Joanne touched on. But again, Too Simple, incredible company, making this event happen in a big way. So, Neil, you've got 4 minutes to blow us away.
Cool. Thanks, Ashley. And thanks, everyone, for joining. Yeah, my name is Neil. I'm from Too Simple Software, and we've been making educational software programs for the last 21 years for schools. And the two that we're going to be showcasing this week are Purple Mash and Python in Pieces. We've got a couple more, but I'm going to share my screen and we're going to quickly look at what we're talking about. So if you give me a sec, I'm just going to select the window. All right, Ash, can you see that? Yeah, can you see that on my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Can see it
okay.
Bright and clear.
Awesome. Cool. So what we're looking at over here is Purple Mash, and Purple Mash is basically a one-stop solution for primary schools when it comes to sourcing quality resources and edtech tools that cover subjects all the way from early year coding right through to things like grade 7 EMS. So it really is a whole curriculum resource, and it's a really easy to navigate platform, of course. As you can see over here, here's an area completely dedicated to early years that includes a program called Minimash. Very easy to navigate and use for younger kids, especially those that can't read just yet. And that includes everything to do with the topics and themes that you cover at a preschool, in a preschool setting. Then, of course, we have our tools section over here, and our tools contains a range of edtech programs that look at aspects such as emailing, blogging, all the way through to coding and 3D modeling and animation, multiplication tools, and a whole range of other things. Then, of course, we've got educational games, and these are especially important as, obviously we know that kids interact with games mostly, and this is the area that learners are drawn to first. And what's great about these is that as kids play these games, all the assessment and marks and scores and things are saved as kids play them, and can then be used for assessment later on, and scrutinization by their educators. We have a complete online library in the form of a program we call Serial Mash, and these include broken up chapters, each with their own supporting activities, comprehension quizzes and tests and things like that. So you've got a full reading resource right here on Purple Mash as well. And then, as I said, right here at the bottom of the screen, we have areas that can be explored to look at the different subjects that you teach, and all the content is aligned to your primary school curriculum. So really, as I said, a one-stop shop when it comes to your edtech sort of needs as a school. Megan is going to be talking about content delivery on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's on Wednesday. And so they will delve in a little bit more into how Purple Mash can be used to deliver powerful lessons. Then another platform that
Neil, you're doing
we're
a great
showcasing
job
this
at
week is
keeping to
Python and
time,
Pieces.
but you've got 30 seconds left.
Oh, wow.
Time flies when
Okay.
you're having fun.
Yes. So Python in Pieces is our coding tutorial platform that, can't believe it. Python in Pieces is a coding tutorial platform that's quite straightforward. It's split over 18 lessons and basically teaches you how to code in Python right from sort of just entering a string all the way through to being able to code complex calculations and databases and things like that. So really wonderful resource as well. And just a little bit about our topic. What we're talking about today is how we help schools. And we obviously help schools with providing them our quality, software, but we also focus a fair amount on training. So whenever schools take on Purple Mash or Python in Pieces or any one of our other platforms, we offer quite a bit of training, as I said, to help kickstart them and navigate the platform for themselves. So we've got Megan and Tim waiting in the booth, ready to chat to you guys and demo Purple Mash and Python in Pieces to you. Feel free to contact us as well via email, and we've got a couple of giveaways and prizes as well. So do look out for that. You'll see the information all in our booth.
Everybody likes a good prize. Thanks so much, Neil. Yeah, I must say, after working with Too Simple for many years, testing it on my own kids, it's an incredible company with an incredible team. So not only do they have software that your kids will love in your school, they have a support team that you will love as an educator. So thank you. We're going to be hearing a lot more from Too Simple. You can see that they've got a big package deal of multiple things, but we're going to break those down in sessions in the rest of the event. So it's not the last you're going to see from Too Simple, but if you'd like Too Simple to get in touch, just pop over to the poll, click yes in that poll section, and they will send you more information on their offering and how they can help your school. So thank you, Neil. We'll chat to you again soon. And next up, so guys, this is sort of feeling quite jam-packed to me. There's a lot going on, a lot of different solutions, and we just want to reiterate why. We know your school's on a journey, and these are some of the companies. We have hundreds, but these are some of the companies we've really stood out in the last season and that we know can help your school to go to effortless kind of transition in to this sort of tech integrated, brilliant classrooms that we are going on into in the future. So next up, we have Eva. Eva is a teaching consultant and a teacher with so many years experience, and she's going to be just taking us through a demo on a product from PPM. They have incredible audio-visual stuff. We're going to see some cool spy cam FBI school gear that they brought into South Africa tomorrow. But yeah, welcome, Leanne. Nice to have you back on stage with us. And then we're going to hear from you in a second. But let's go over to Eva to see the product working in practical environments.
Hi, my name's Eva Biebuyck. I'm an educational consultant, and I've been doing workshops for teachers for many, many years, teaching both in the school and working with classroom with kids, with the teachers watching. And I would like to say to you that I came across the most life-saving, I would say, tool that helped me transform my teaching, in actual fact, from being just an overhead projector user to now a visualizer user. And I'd like to tell you how I did it. So I'm going to share my screen and show you some examples of what I've actually done. So here I shared my screen, and we're just going to say hello to what's happening today. And the tool I use to teach mathematics and geometry is origami. Now, if you look at this piece of paper, this is what I used to use on the overhead projector to teach origami. Now, that is a far cry from using the actual piece of paper, which is what I do today, because the visualizer can cope with. So when I start putting this together for them, here we have a few pieces of paper put together. Now, can you see how I can rotate this around, and it can be seen in any position that I'm working in? And when I say to them, now insert your next unit, find a pocket to put it into and make sure it fits in there securely. So I show them on the visualizer how to do it. And there you are. So teachers, not only can you use the visualizer in that way, but you can hook on to a PowerPoint presentation. You can bring in videos for the children to see all through the visualizer. It hooks onto your computer and you can view it easily on a screen. For me, it has been an absolute lifesaver, and I will never do without it. So I wish you all the best. I would think that this is something that should be in every single teacher's classroom, and have fun working with it. Work with the left brain, work with the right brain for the kids, and make mathematics fun for the children. If I had more time, we would do some dice games as well, but unfortunately, I don't. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks so much, Eva. Leanne, good to have you back on the Schoolscape stage. They are no stranger to Schoolscape PPM. They are doing some amazing stuff in audiovisual. Leanne, a while back I asked you what was the most revolutionary product that you had, and you said a visualizer. Are you sticking to this? Have you got some new stuff you're excited about? Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what you guys are up to at the moment at PPM and how you're providing amazing stuff to schools still.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely still sticking to my word that I think the visualizer is still the most amazing product out there. And I think as an entry-level solution or / foundation for any classroom, again, I'm sticking to that. I think number one, if we look at the basics, I mean, as Eva pointed out, I mean, she's done an amazing job in that video. I think, as you can see, you know, it's really, a visualizer is basically a camera. So what that allows you to do is it allows you to showcase absolutely anything. So number one is you don't need a whiteboard anymore, because by simply using A4 sheets of printed paper or a write and wipe sheet, I mean, that's essentially your whiteboard. Number two, combine that with software. You can now record lessons. You can take snapshots of that. It even helps as an administrative tool, whereby that will help educators actually set up tests, exams, workbooks, and so on. And I think because it really forms part of the foundation, one can merely just add on to a visualizer. So at a later stage, one can add on a camera so that you can capture different views or different angles within a classroom. You can add on a touchscreen or an interactive whiteboard to use that within one platform to write like you would on a normal whiteboard and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the visualizer is still the number one cost-effective option. However, we do have other options available, and I think that's where we fit well in the slot, is that we can provide classrooms with their audio-visual needs. I think another key part is obviously a projector. Projectors are also needed in the classroom, but yeah, I think the next step is please visit our booth. We currently running a thing, try before you buy. So if schools are interested in testing out the technology first, pop us an email or reach out to us via our booth and let us see how we can get a loan unit to you guys, let you test it for a week or so and make a decision then from there. Let's see how we can make your decision processes easier. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Leanne. I would like the try before you buy for a couple of other products in my life, but I think that is awesome for schools. You can test it live in your classrooms. You can see the reaction to your kids. And then, yeah, so here's an exciting one that I want to share with you. We have a passport competition. So for attendees of the event, the more you go and you like exhibitor booths, you comment in the exhibitor booths, you enter the raffles and that, you go into a passport competition. This is purely on your kind of organic engagement that you'd have. So don't go wild and willy-nilly and like everything. That's not going to get you points. It reads the algorithm well. But the person that has the highest number of valuable engagement, they will go into a passport competition and they will be able to win one of those visualizers. So it's actually a set of different things from PPM that will transform any classroom in your school. So it's encouragement to go and look at our incredible exhibitors we have there. You will not be sorry. Okay. We realize we are running a little bit late and over time, as we are so good at doing. It might be because I talk too much or Pete talks too little, I'm not sure, but in between somewhere we're going to attempt to stick to time tomorrow. Today, we might run a little bit over, so bear with us. If you have to drop off, remember at any time these sessions are recorded, you can come back. If you're nervous, you are not going to be able to contact the speakers and time to go on their booths, click in the polls, yes, and the speaker will contact you directly from their company. Right, hello Felicity. Felicity is from Toshiba Cape Town. Now, Toshiba Cape Town has an interesting one. We've been wrestling through this conundrum, Felicity and I, of what to show you because their offering actually to schools is very vast. Some incredible, innovative products and services. But today, in light of us talking about a lot of mobile device management tomorrow, Felicity has shared with me quite an incredible solution they have called PaperCut. Now, PaperCut is printer management software. I'm not going to say any more because I love the name, but I don't know a lot about it. I just think it's wonderful. Felicity, over to you, and please give us a sneak peek of one or two of those other really cool products that you guys have on offer for schools.
Fantastic. Hi, Ash and Pete. I am going to do a little bit of low flying today. And the theme of today's discussion is effort-free services that can move your school forward. So I want to touch on 4 very quick products that will for sure move your school forward. As you know, we are accepting or beginning to accept the fact that COVID is going to be here for a little while longer. Herd immunity is taking some time. And we have a contactless clocking system, which will take away the need for teachers and admin staff to take temperatures and to do roll call. And in fact, it will assist with teachers' HR attendance. It's a wall-mounted unit. It takes about 50,000 faces. Teachers and students can stand about 2 meters away. The unit will recognize them through their mask and take their temperature, and it will either shout, "You're a leper, stand there," or it will give you access. Also, we know about load shedding is here to stay with the Medupi power station implosion. And I know I have spoken about this before, about replacing school lights and reducing your electricity bills with LED lightings, inverters and solar panels. And I can hear all the bursars saying, absolutely not, we don't have the budget for this. But my response is, bursars, don't stress. We can put this upgrade on a manageable rent-to-own package. So your electricity savings will pay for your upgrade. We have partnered very excitedly with Africa's only Tesla partner. So yes, Elon Musk is effectively our partner too. And we have marvelous Tesla inverters with solar panels on offer. We've got Jacques, Willie, and Ruan on our team panel. So please connect with them. And feel free to inbox me also if you have quick questions. They've got the only Tesla car in South Africa, which is currently in PE and on its way to Cape Town. So just a quick sneak peek, we would like to invite you to our showrooms in Durban, PE, East London, Cape Town, Joburg, and Mpumalanga, or Namibia, to come and have a look at all things Tesla. So please let me know if you want to do that too. I'm very excited. So now down to our nitty gritty. I'd like to address out of control printing costs. And also, forgive me IT guys, but you love to control things, and that's a wonderful thing. We have just the product for you called PaperCut. It's great software which is vendor neutral, which means any photocopier device can be managed, even a fleet of different photocopier devices. So it has a centralized browser with an admin dashboard to enable management of every device in your school and every user in your school, which will make you very happy. This dashboard is an easy to manage overview of your printing environment in real time. So it gives you all the system activities, the error notifications, the toner levels. So no more phone calls from your photocopier company saying, could I please have your meter reading? You can also make rules and quotas for departments and for individuals. It's got built-in reporting, print controls that give real quantifiable data, which is what IT people do love, and so do principals. Anyway, the other thing is that it's super easy to install. It supports Active Directory and LDAP. And not only, now this is exciting, not only can you manage your paper printing environments and print rooms, but you can also manage your 3D print rooms, which are becoming huge in the robotics world. And it integrates, but this is exciting for you bursars, it integrates with third-party gateways, payment gateways, debit cards, credit cards, and also your school accounting software. So you can on-bill the printing to the parents themselves. So no need to keep, notes of who printed what in your 3D print room. You can just on-bill that to your parents. Also, there's a high levels of security. We've got end-to-end encryption. So that makes, that is a good thing. And also we've got secure access authentications. You can use pins or cards to integrate with biometric hardware. And lastly, we've got education breaks, which will make everybody happy. PaperCut offers the education sector inexpensive software. So I hope I'm under time, Ash.
Under time. You will be the only one. Thank you so much, Felicity. Guys, if you're excited about some of these things, we know that there's a big buzz in terms of solar and education. It's a great solution to kind of manage some of the risk factors around electricity in our country. And yeah, I mean, please reach out to Felicity. PaperCut, incredible solution. A couple of other things on the cards there. If you'd like Felicity and the team to send you through more information on this, please click yes in their poll, and then we will get that out to you. Great. So we are now going into our last session The one thing I've become a little bit aware of, I can see Pete jumping in the background here, is that apparently every time we post a poll, you get an email. So please, I'm very sorry, we have now turned them off. You're no longer going to get spammed by Hoover, directly by us. I apologize for our spamming. We don't want to. Hopefully you have some kind of filter in your email address. If not, I'm sure we have a solution for that. But okay, so we apologize for those, and we won't do it again. Now, our last session is going to be a little bit lengthier than these short, sharp, punchy parts. We are going to wrap up today with a learner management system. So all these things that we've looked at are awesome and great, but on the front of being able to manage your learners, we know there's a lot of remote schooling going on, in-class schooling going on. This is an incredible learner management system that EduBoard has brought to the market. Now, we know EduBoard for a long time has been putting out incredible LED panels, designed, creative, developed in South Africa, and are in many of your schools already. So Classera Learner Management Solution is also something they've now brought to the South African schools market. They've demoed and tested it with us. It's incredible, and I'm excited for you to see firsthand this being used in a school today. So give us 30 more minutes of your time, or jump back on later and watch us a bit later. This is not to be missed. And then, we'll be done for our first session of Schoolscape IT 2021 in the morning, right after this. So please can the whole EduBoard team be invited on stage, or those that would be joining in the beginning. I think Derek, you guys can come on. If you are there, join me. I like friends. I'm a social person. Sarah, hello. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Sarah, nice to see you. Sarah, you are going to be doing a demo with us today.
Yes.
If I'm not wrong. Okay, so I'm going to then hand over to you and take us away. I look forward to seeing what you got.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I am Sarah Friend, and I am the head of the ICT department at Selborne Primary, and I also head up the integration portfolio. So we, as a school, we went Google in 2013. So our digital journey has been quite lengthy, but has grown extensively in the past 2 years due to COVID as well, specifically in our integration department. So really understanding how to take the current curriculum and the CAPS curriculum that is very strictly organized and integrating it with new technology and 21st century skills being the most important. So just a little bit about myself. I'm going to pop up a presentation quickly, and then there we go. Sorry, I'm not sure if everybody can see my screen.
Perfect, Sarah, we can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay. So I just want to say a big thank you to EduBoard for allowing me to take part in our POC of Classera. So Derek from EduBoard and Selborne have had quite a bit of a journey together, and whenever there's something new and interesting, he knows that I'm very inquisitive and like to test things out. So he told me about this all-in-one solution called Classera, and immediately that all-in-one opinion, well, that option really ignited my interest. So straight away we hopped into the POC, and it was quite interesting to see how Selborne's Google system and Classera as its own learner management system work together. I know that Classera primarily has partnered with Microsoft, but it works quite well with Google too. So for all those schools who are out there already using Google, it is not to say that you're going to check Google out. It does work very well together. So a little bit about myself. I am a foundation phase and early childhood development trained teacher. And I studied through UNISA. I decided to study through UNISA so that I could work full-time within a school and study and earn that degree, because, you know, as a teacher, it's really important to be involved. You're on the ground. Books can only take you so far. You really need that experience. And I was extremely privileged to work under 2 teachers, both with more than 40 years under their belt, Mrs. Jill Abdo and Mrs. June Muller. So a very big thank you to them. I still owe them quite a lot of my experience. And I did mention earlier, yes, that I am the head of ICT. I do teach grade 4 to 7 ICT classes, but I also handle the integration portfolio. So let me just go. Okay, so one of the big issues, I know that somebody mentioned earlier that they are device neutral, and I like to think of ourselves as device neutral as well, although we do tend to use Chromebooks. So, you know, do you have to be an IT guru to really get involved and start integrating IT into your school? And the answer is absolutely not. And a program like Classera is really going to help with the introduction or the transition from, you know, your old chalk and talk method to a learner management system that is all inclusive. So I just want to point out that for me, what caught my attention is I'm very passionate about educational pedagogy, and Classera really focuses on the how knowledge is imparted. And it focuses on interaction, which is something that can be lost in digital learning. So I really like that Classera was a solution that also made sure that we were all connected. Right, so just to kind of keep things short, I want to be able to do Classera justice, but I also want to keep things as short and concise as possible. So I have earmarked 4 teaching pain points or challenges that teachers face. So I went to my colleagues and I said to them, what is the number one thing that you guys would love more of? And they outright said time, something that all teachers wish they had more of. And Classera really does offer a very simplified administration solution. Learner engagement is a big challenge for teachers these days. Everything out there like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, all the social medias, even YouTube and all the YouTubers, everybody is really excited, and it doesn't take much to keep a young child's attention on those platforms, which is challenging for a teacher within the classroom, and we have to teach perhaps history or maybe basic math concepts that aren't too interesting to the children at this stage. They don't really understand how valuable their education is. And Classera takes that pressure off of the teacher. There are lots of engaging types of material and incentives. Then a big part, this is for all the school management teams out there, a big thing that we have noticed on our school management team is that intellectual property is often lost once a teacher leaves a school. And so this is a management system that is going to help collate and collect and store all of your teaching lessons and really help the school management wrap everything up nice and neatly. And then obviously it is a great solution for distance learning. Okay, so I'm just going to break down the time issue a little bit more. These points, the administration, early identification for educational gaps is extremely important for me as a teacher. So we're obviously trained as teachers to identify educational gaps for learners who are perhaps struggling and deal with barriers to learning. The earlier that these are identified, the better. And like I say, we are trained to identify those issues, but often it does take a while. We have to work through a number of assessments, and we have to monitor student interaction very, very closely. What Classera does is offers a solution that monitors each and every student's work any type of work that they do throughout their day. And if there is any kind of signal that there might be an issue, it will notify the teacher, and the teacher is then able to remediate more effectively. So that is a huge deal for me as a class teacher. Then question banks. The question banks are absolutely phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite parts of Classera. If we, as a teacher, need to quickly make a little remediation assessment, or we need to just check on something, we can go to a question bank and just whip together a nice assessment and collect data and move forward from there. It also helps us to plan our lessons. I had great fun looking at the lesson planning, and I also love the fact that it included educational taxonomy. And I know from a management point of view, sometimes that is often missing from teachers' lesson plans. Communication, all of your communication is everything rolled into one. So I don't have to move to from Gmail onto Google Classroom, and then from docs and slides and all over the show. It is everything all in one. I will demonstrate that a little bit later once I've kind of gone through these here. I just wanted to highlight these main points, and then we're going to move over into the actual platform itself and have a look at what they've got there. So for distance learning assessments, that's probably one of the biggest issues that we've had so far with our distance learning experience. We can share information and videos and voice notes and many different types of digital resources. But one of the things that we have struggled with is continuing to assess our children in a meaningful way. So the assessment and test exam monitoring is phenomenal with Classera. If a student moves away from their screen, or somebody else walks into the camera area, it will notify the teacher straight away. So there is a level of monitoring that I haven't seen before in many other LMS programs. I will show you a very short example of an exam, and I will try and cheat the system a little bit and see what it picks up. So one of the other areas is self-paced learning, and I know a lot of learners that need remediation or have barriers to learning, they really need to be able to work through content slowly and on their own, and perhaps with a tutor or their parents at home. So that's really important. Classera is a phenomenal program when it comes to focusing on education. There are a lot of learner management systems out there and many other platforms that really do focus on engaging the student on an entertainment level. And while that is extremely important, and we'll see just how Classera handles that, they really do focus on this on learners obtaining skills. So we're not really worrying about chalk and talk and parrot fashion learning, sorry. They really are focused on education. So they want the students to be less distracted and more engaged when it comes to actual learning, not just necessarily gamification. The virtual classroom and obviously our resources are collated all together, really easily accessible to both students, teachers, and the management team. And I think that's really an important point. Right, moving along, our student engagement, like I said, our team member Bianca is going to just elaborate a little bit more later on the rewards and card program. By the way, is my students' absolute favorite. They love the idea of being rewarded for the work that they do. I know as a teacher, I understand that they are being rewarded by growing their education, but to them, that's not quite as convincing. So having a rewards program or card levels that they can work towards, it was really phenomenal. So it also, like I mentioned earlier, it helps students remain focused. It brings all their content into a single area. I know that with Google Classroom, even specifically before the latest updates, students really got confused as to where information was placed. And sometimes it will result in missed assessments or misinterpreted information or a lack of information because the student was unable to find where the information was stored. Students are still learning how to follow instructions. And so a teacher can make it as clear as possible, but if you are asking a student to move to multiple areas and shift between tabs, it really can cause a bit of a problem. So it's fantastic to have everything in one space. And then, like I did mention earlier as well, community. To me, community is so very important. And with COVID, it's one of the things that has been attacked. And we have become more separated than ever before. So Classera offers a solution to that, whereas there are discussion forums, and it connects both parent, teacher, and management team, and the student, obviously, all together. And then for all school management teams out there, one of my most important things that I'd like to focus on is the loss of intellectual property. So I'm sure a lot of schools out there have systems where they do store a lot of the information, and there's portfolios and things like that, but more often than not, it's easy for intellectual property to slip through the radar. And what I mean by that is that a teacher will come in, and they will come in with all their experience, and they will design their own approach to the CAPS curriculum within their school district. So that will often, it depends on what province they're in, what school they're in, what type of learners they are educating, what their educational classroom situations look like, how big they are, etc. And when that teacher comes in, they do a phenomenal job, but then they move on. And with them goes a whole lot of their experience and their lesson plans and a whole lot of content. And that can be really sad, because at the end of the day, that intellectual property, while the teacher may have a copy, should remain at the school. And Classera does a wonderful job of storing information and collating that intellectual property, really providing security for the school. And then, yes, there's a record of all the activity on there. So an administration team or an SMT can have a look at how teachers and students are busy interacting with the LMS program, and the CAPS curriculum, really, as they're working through anything that they need to focus on. There is an ability for the principal to be able to monitor what is happening in all the classrooms. They have the ability to go and have a look at different lesson plans to see if teachers are including taxonomy, if they are focusing on learner outcomes, not necessarily just parrot fashion learning. And then something that schools often forget to think about is their brand. So that is something we often associate more with a business, and schools sometimes forget that they are a business themselves. And I don't necessarily always mean the like colors and badges and things like that. I feel like most schools are quite sorted in that regard, but what they need assistance with is cohesively displaying what their school is offering to both parents or prospective parents. So Classera really does help bring everything together and assist the school in branding. Who are we? What do we do? How do I execute my vision as a school?
Cut off.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, I just heard, I don't know if someone maybe asked a question.
Sorry, I came on. I didn't realize that you could hear me. I just wanted to give you a heads up. You have 2 minutes left of your presentation.
Okay. Yes, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to just skip out of here, and I'm going to move into the actual profile. So at the moment, I've got a learner's profile open here, and I just really wanted to show how everything is easily captured and collated here. So if I go to the home screen, so it's just loading there. If I go to the home screen, a student logs in and they see everything. It's very visual and it's very user-friendly. So as a student, when you log in, you're not wondering where do I need to go and have a look for anything. I go to my courses. I've got all my subjects down here. I pick the subject that I'd like to look at, and then I can choose, do I have an exam? Do I have any assessments? What are my marks, my course material? And all this information is being processed through the teacher's profile and the administration desk. So I just want to open up the course material here, and sorry, the exam, because this was really nice to experience in a classroom setting. It's just asking me to reshare there again. Sorry, I know with doing things live, sometimes it can be a little bit testy. Perhaps Bianca can just assist if she has better access that side. Okay, so I will move out of that for now. Bianca, perhaps when we have a look at the rewards program, you could maybe just assist with the exam. Sorry, things don't always go to plan. But I will happily pop back in if I have forgotten to cover something, or if Derek would like me to specifically comment on a particular area or highlight a particular area of Classera. So I'd rather cut it a little bit short and move over, and then I'll always pop back in if that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was an incredible presentation. You can just stop screen sharing there. Welcome, Bianca. Bianca is from edtech. She's also no stranger to the Schoolscape screen. Welcome, Derek. Nice to have you with us. Derek Underwood is one of the co-founders of edtech as well, and also no stranger to our Schoolscape screen. So yeah, guys, I'm going to then hand over. This is the last 7 minutes of our session this morning, before we just do a little bit of housekeeping and close. But I'm going to hand it over to edtech to take us through the last few steps and things they'd like to highlight of Classera. And yeah, guys, welcome and take it away.
Great, thanks very much, Ashley. I'm going to, unfortunately, Sarah ran out of time to show you the really, really juicy stuff, but don't worry about it. We've got lots of meetups later, and we can obviously go into more depth and detail and show you some of those amazing features. If we have a bit of time in the 7 minutes, we'll gladly do that as well. But I think just quickly, I would like to hand over back to Ahmed Salama, who is the business development person for international for Classera. And he's just going to give us a quick introduction to Classera and the system itself. Thanks, Ahmed.
Thanks, Derek, and nice to meet everyone and the summit actually, and I'm glad to be here actually. And thanks for Sarah to present this perfect demonstration actually. So as a Classera, of course, has been located in more than 30 countries worldwide, and the head office for Classera in USA, and we have different, let's say, offices in the region. And of course, we have our partner in South Africa, which is Kaizen and EduBoard, and we are glad to have them on the ground in South Africa. And the things that I just would like to mention here, and I will hand it over to you, Derek, that Classera, it's whatever that the school need, it's in one place, starting with all the activities that the teachers do, starting with adding lesson plans, video lectures, virtual classrooms, etc. Even the management to manage everything in the schools in one dashboard. How Classera use the artificial intelligence with the latest technologies, how we motivate the students and the teachers to engage with each other using or enter the gamification factor inside the learning process, how we use the business intelligence so to allow the management or the admins inside the school to generate hundreds of the reports, how we support the personalized learning. So we have more than 25 modules on the same platform. So whatever that the school need, you will find it in one place, and that's our vision in Classera, to support the school and all the roles inside the school, starting with the teachers, students, parents, academic supervisors, even the admission or the submission officers, they have an account inside of it. So all in one platform for your school. And of course, I will hand it over to you, Derek, if you would like to talk more about our partnership with you as a Kaizen and EduBoard. So again, I'm really glad to be with you today. So the mic for you, or the stage for you, actually, Derek.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Ahmed, for that. And also, yes, thanks very much to Sarah earlier. You know, I think we really are proud. EduBoard's been around in the education space for over 12 years. And we've, before that, been in the whole education space for collectively about 20 years. We've got thousands of schools that use our systems around the country. And that's all types of edtech, interactive touchscreens and so on. So we were really, really excited and proud when we decided to take on Classera and distribute this in South Africa, because we just felt when we looked around at LMSs, there are literally thousands out there to choose from, and there's some really good ones and not such good ones. But I think Classera ticked all the boxes for us in terms of what it was, one comprehensive system. So I'm just going to attempt to share my screen in a moment if possible, and just let me know if you do get that. Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect, Derek. We can see your screen. Thanks.
Great. So I'm just going to rush through this with our limited time. But basically, it's a whole system that has the learner's class at their fingertips, and so too is the whole school at anyone's fingertips for all stakeholders. And this is one of the key points that we really liked, was Classera is for everyone. It's not just for students and teachers. It's literally the whole school ecosystem in its entirety. Every single stakeholder can be included in that system, even right up to regional, district, or provincial level, and even on the country level. All stakeholders can be involved in the process. So an extremely comprehensive thing. It's more than an LMS, although we call it an LMS. That's obviously one of its primary functions. But if you just have a look at this list here quickly, we've got more than 25 complete modules built in to one solution, which we haven't seen that anywhere else in many other LMSs. And each one of those is a really powerful and comprehensive addition. So, you know, remote classrooms, obviously for COVID, doing it through Zoom, through MS Teams and so on, that's all built into the system. So no need to have an island of solutions that you're required to download and try and bounce between. Everything literally is included here in a one-stop shop. We've obviously seen the inspiration and the gamified. These are the three main pillars of success here. We have a lot of gamification and a lot of motivation for kids and teachers to use the platform. The more they use it, the more points they win, and the more motivation and prizes and incentives that they can get. It's also intelligent and personalized. Sarah mentioned that very briefly. We have AI built in. We've got cameras that recognize you. We monitor all your exams, your tests, your feedback, all your engagement with the platform, whether it's submitting a test, making a comment, is all monitored AI with the system, and then can help the teacher to assess and the student to actually suggest alternative or additional materials in certain weak areas that they have. So very, very powerful AI, all running in the background, making your life a lot easier. And then social and connected. You know, this is related to the Classera Inspire system, where basically each student and teacher will get a card which collects all the points. Every time they engage with the system, they might score 10 points, 50 points, 100 points if they submit an exam, etc., etc. And the more points they score, the more their status goes up within the system, and they can become the top student in their class, in the school, in the district, whatever it might be. And really, at the end of the day, it's an motivational process. And what does that really mean? You know, some of the partnerships around the world, I've highlighted this one over here. If you can see my mouse, is Snaplify with the orange rectangle around it. So we have certain partners that can join in and link directly into the system. So if you're currently using Snaplify, for example, you can easily single sign-on process with that and run with Snaplify within the platform. We'll be adding more partners to this as we go. And then obviously partners that we're going to be looking at locally will be companies that can help support the process of that inspiring patient. So in other words, we sign up various corporate companies, and they can offer incentives for those top performing students and teachers to get discounts or
Derek,
offer free sponsorship.
I'm just going to jump in here quickly. You have 30 seconds left. I'm sorry to say, we love hearing this. It's an incredibly exciting app. Yeah, 30 more seconds.
No, we're 100%. We're pretty much ready to wrap up. So with all that in mind, what we're doing is launching on the special Schoolscape offer. We've got a whole bunch of special offers, which we will elaborate more in the after sessions. And you're welcome to contact us as well on any of the above details through our website, through the email at inquiries@eduboard, or you can phone us directly, or meet up, and any of the meetup sessions
I think we just lost Derek.
Find out quickly time. If you'd like to get hold of EduBoard, also just click on their poll, and they will send you more information on this incredible software solution that they have brought to the market. So thanks so much, EduBoard, for your presentation and your time. Right, guys, we are at the end of our morning session on morning one. Don't forget, there's still 2 more mornings to go, so this is not the last of us you've seen this week. Thank you so much for joining us today. The only last few things we want to mention before we leave you be is social media. Again, we want to use social media to communicate more adequately with you in the future. So we're running a cool competition. You can win a 1,000 Rand take-a-lot voucher if you go and like and follow, either which one, I would say follow, our social media. You're going to see it's going to go in the chat bar now, either on Instagram or Facebook. And at the end of today, we are going to pick a winner, randomly generated winner, and you can win yourself a 1,000 Rand take-a-lot gift voucher. We're also going to do a lot of fun treasure hunts with our social media this week, tomorrow and Thursday. So follow us so that you can take part in those.
Cool, and well done for making it this long. So please, we always love a little bit of engagement. So in the chat bar, give us a thumbs up or mention your favorite thing you saw or top tip. We'd love your engagement, so please do that. And then while you are doing that, for those that are signed up for the afternoon session, this afternoon we've got 2 teachers, one back by popular demand. Matthew Haynes was our top rated session from Schoolscape Premier. Everyone wanted him back, so he's going to be back on for a session. And we also have Lorato, who's got, it's called an app for that. We will also be showing some incredible resources. So that's this afternoon session if you are signed up. And for those that are only registered for the morning session, tomorrow morning there is going to be 3 schools. We've got a Microsoft school, we have got a Google school, and we've got an Apple school, and each of them are going to do a live presentation on device management. So we know device management is becoming a massive thing for schools. So please join in. You're going to get tips and tricks from all of them. So even if you're not an Apple school, you're going to still learn from the Apple presentation. So you can jump in on that. And then my last thing I've got to say is that it's so awkward standing. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I know, me too. So we're just going to end it there before we share more of our awkward scenarios with you. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. There's so many more giveaways. Please enter the polls. They're still live after this, but otherwise go and explore the exhibitor booths. There's some incredible solutions there that we know can help your school move forward through the season, but also that are just really amazing. So
Great.
Goodbye and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, and remember to fill in the poll for Derek and the team at EduBoard if you want more info on that, and we will see you later. And now this is that awkward moment where hopefully it ends while we're talking.
We'll get starting and ask you.